Welcome back to the DCPU, where I deserve a luxury dump right now, alright? I'm Thomas, back once again with my co-host Frank to discuss the penultimate entry in the DCEU, and the only one of these films I haven't seen before, Blue Beetle.
Before we properly begin the episode, I'd like to issue a few corrections from last week. Vermont is not the only state to not require concealed carry permits. I was confusing it with the fact that it is the only state that has never required them. Joseph Kominsky may exist as a human being, but the director of Tron Legacy and Top Gun Maverick is Joseph Kosinski. Zoom is apparently an entirely separate yellow-clad speedster than the Flash's arch-nemesis Professor Zoom, who I was referring to, so I guess I needed to be a little more specific. And finally, the biggest apology goes to Alan Silvestri, who wrote the score to Back to the Future, not John Williams. That film was produced by Amblin, like Steven Spielberg, so I got my wires crossed. I am sorry, Alan Silvestri.
And now we will shock Frank live on the recording to punish him for his mistakes. On to the history of the project and the details of the release. A Blue Beetle film was first reported to be in development in 2018, with Mexican writer Gareth Dunnett Alcocer writing the screenplay. Dunnett Alcocer's other work includes Miss Bala, and then some short films, but this was only his second major film he ever wrote. The report of him being hired also listed him as writing Scarface for Sony, but I don't see that on his IMDb, so it must have never happened. The article also listed Zev Foreman as an executive producer, and interestingly enough, it looks like he's one of the founders of Hasbro Entertainment and is their head of film. I'm not sure if this means that Hasbro helped finance it, or if it's a solo venture by himself.
I'm gonna say probably a solo venture?
Probably, yeah. Because they would definitely list if Hasbro helped. Also of note, this was set to be the first DCEU film and the first live-action superhero film starring a Latino lead.
Yes, and we will get into that a little more later.
Does Shark Boy and Lava Girl count? Is Taylor Lautner?
No, I don't think so.
Fuck, cut that.
No. Well, I mean, it's a Robert Rodriguez film. They made a sequel to Shark Boy and Lava Girl in 2020 called We Can Be Heroes.
Yeah, you didn't watch it?
No, I didn't watch it. I'm not 6 years old anymore.
I watched it. It has Pedro Pascal in it.
Lautner had Dutch, French, and German ancestry.
Oh.
Stating that he had, quote, distant Native American ancestry.
In December 2020, in an article about then-president of DC Films Walter Hamada, it was said that DC would be developing smaller, mid-budget films exclusively for HBO Max, including Batgirl and originally Blue Beetle. In February 2021, it was revealed that Angel Manuel Soto had signed on to direct the film. Manuel Soto's other work includes Frailty, La Granja, Charm City Kings, and the new film The Wrecking Crew that just came out recently, with Batista and, what's his name?
Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. How do you not know?
Jesus Christ is in it too? Soto would later reveal in a 2023 interview that when he first got the call from Warner Brothers about potentially directing a DC movie, Blue Beetle wasn't his first choice. His first idea was a Bane origin film.
I think that would have been awesome. Bane's got a really cool backstory.
I think it'd be a shame to waste on the DCEU though.
That's true, although it could be like Joker, where it's not necessarily part of the shared universe.
Well, that depends on who you ask.
Right, right.
The Rock might have something to say about that. However, that doesn't matter because DC kinda let on in the phone call that they weren't in the market for a Bane movie, and were seeking him out to direct Blue Beetle.
In April 2021, it was reported that Blue Beetle had been added to the Warner Brothers 2022/2023 film slate, but no exact date was given.
This article also closed the door on some of the potential spin-offs of the DCEU, including Ava DuVernay's New Gods and James Wan's The Trench.
In an interview around the time of the film's release, Soto would say of the release on HBO Max, quote, "When I got onto the project, you're right that it was an HBO Max release, but there was an understanding that, more than anything else, that was the result of the pandemic and the whole day-and-date mandate. Before then, the intention was to release the film theatrically. When I came in, I definitely thought, I'm going to take this, because it's an amazing opportunity. But what are the chances that for the first time we have the chance to be the heroes of our own story, it has to go straight to streaming? Why are we always thought of as belonging on TV rather than the big silver screen? So we worked very hard to create an experience worthy of a theatrical release. We shot on IMAX, and we decided to do our world building in a way that's bigger than life. because we wanted the film's story to feel very specific, but also universal at the same time. Everybody involved really put in a lot of effort to create an experience that was worthy of the big screen. Soto and Donat Alcocer moved the character from his comic book home of El Paso, Texas to the fictional location of Palmyra City. According to Soto, the decision was made in order to give Blue Beetle a world specific to him that would feel similar to how Metropolis is for Superman or Gotham City for Batman. Design for Palmyra City would be inspired by the real-life city of Miami, as well as the films Akira and Neo Tokyo.
I kinda don't understand moving him. It kinda seems weird to me.
I just think it's weird that in DC you've got some heroes who are in real-life cities, and then some that are in fictional cities.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd rather it just be all or none. So I do think this is a good choice.
Soto would also speak about the themes and contents of Donat Alcocer's story, highlighting the family aspect of the character and the film's focus on cultural identity and Latino representation, which he felt had been sorely lacking in the superhero genre.
No, he's right. I mean, Hollywood's been making superhero films and TV shows for over half a century, and outside of Blue Beetle, there still hasn't been one that's led by a Latino character. Like, I suppose the closest representation before this would be Miles Morales, but he's only appeared in animation, which, would lead him to be dismissed by a lot of people. And he's also biracial, which, not to say he's not Latino, but that's a whole different identity at the same time. So there's America Chavez from Doctor Strange 2, Robbie Reyes in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as Ghost Rider, and then Namor got race swapped to Latino in Wakanda Forever, but those are all supporting roles, and the only 3 examples I can think of.
There's very little representation for anyone who isn't white. Soto's first choice for the role of Jaime Reyes / Blue Beetle was Xolo Maridueña, after being impressed with his work on Netflix's show Cobra Kai. Maridueña would officially be announced as lead during the red carpet premiere of The Suicide Squad in August 2021.
In March 2022, most of the rest of the cast was revealed. Bruna Marquezine as Jenny Cord, Belissa Escobedo as Milagros Reyes, Harvey Guillen as Dr. De La Cruz, who is sorely underused in the movie, George Lopez as Uncle Rudy, Adriana Barraza as Nana, Elpidia Carrillo as Rocio Reyes, and Damian Alcazar as Alberto Reyes. Soto spoke about his casting decision, saying, quote, "Initially, my goal with finding the family was to be able to have an authentic group of people, not just as authentic on the Latino side, but authentic on the accents and authentic on the experience overall. It was very important to me to have the elders in the family to be from Mexico. And more than just being from Mexico is honoring those amazing beloved actors from Mexico that have paved the way not just in Latin American cinema, but also crossing over to the Anglo-Saxon community and Latin American community in the United States. And then you have somebody on the younger side, the new blood that's coming in, like Belissa or Xolo. They're Mexican-American, and tying them with the guys that came before, which have a strong history of being born in Mexico and then coming over to the US. Being able to provide a Mexican family, a brown Mexican family, that embraces that level of authenticity, I think this cast allowed us to have all of that. And to round out the cast, there was the film's villain, an original character named Victoria Cord, in talks to be played by Sharon Stone. But after negotiations with Stone fell through, the role would be given to Susan Sarandon instead.
Filming would take place across Atlanta, El Paso, and the Castillo San Felipe del Morro in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, not to brag, but I've been there.
Is that the castle at the end?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's huge. It is really cool. I got a bunch of pictures there.
It's kind of funny that they said that they moved him away from El Paso, and then they shot in El Paso.
Yeah.
Paweł Pogorzelski, cinematographer, was best known at the time for his work on Hereditary, Midsommar, Nobody, and Beau Was Afraid.
I'm kind of surprised they snagged Ari Aster's, main guy, you know?
Mm-hmm. Maybe off the record. I didn't think it looked that good, though.
I thought it looked good when it wasn't smeared with CGI.
While filming in Puerto Rico, the team had dug a hole into the grass in order to get a dramatic low-angle shot, and unknowingly committed a crime by doing so. For the crew's crime of damaging a national heritage site, production was fined $10,000.
Which is a surprisingly cheap fine. I was shocked. I mean, it's also relatively harmless. I mean, you shouldn't be modifying a heritage site, but they dug a hole in the dirt to put the camera lower.
I wonder how deep the hole was.
It's a good question. Maybe we should have looked into this further. I'm surprised they were allowed to film there in the first place.
The film had various inspirations for its story and the characters designed from Blue Beetle's past, with Soto citing Jaime's debut in the Infinite Crisis comic, the video game Injustice 2, and the character's appearance on the television shows Young Justice and Batman the Brave and the Bold as the biggest influences. In June 2023, James Gunn would make an appearance on the web talk show Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, and confirmed that Xolo's Blue Beetle would be in the new DC continuity, even if the film itself may not be. To quote James Gunn, he said, "The first DCU character for sure is Blue Beetle, and the first full DCU movie is Superman." Gunn would continue to reaffirm this over and over again during interviews and on his social media.
During the wave of articles and the accompanying video at the end of January 2023 that we talked about during the Shazam episode, in which Gunn announced the start of DCU's Chapter 1, he briefly mentioned how he felt like Blue Beetle was entirely disconnected from the DCEU and could easily be worked into the new continuity. But to officially dub the character, quote, the first DCU character, during the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strikes, I don't know, it feels like a move to grab headlines and generate excitement for the film while the cast is unable to promote it. I think he might mean it, but given the context in that moment, it feels like it could be a little disingenuous.
I think I do kind of see his point, though, because when I was watching this, literally nothing in it made me think like, oh yeah, the DCEU.
No, it's true, and that's why I think it's, kind of a gray area as to whether or not he's being sincere or not, because I had the same thought. Like, there's a LexCorp sign on a building for a half second. Rudy mentions Batman as like a one-off joke, but there's really not a lot holding it together. We don't see any actors cross over from other movies or anything like that, or no specific storylines are mentioned at all. So I think the only reason why James Gunn doesn't want this whole film to be canon, even though Jaime is because he wants Ted Kord to be in the Booster Gold HBO show. I really think that's it. If it wasn't for the whole Ted Kord situation, I think they would have no problem rolling this into the continuity.
Even then, they don't even show him. And when they show him, it's like, the only picture we see of him is like a painting.
Also, to call Jaime, and specifically Jaime as Blue Beetle, the first DCU character, wouldn't that imply that there's going to be two Blue Beetles running around if you plan on having Ted Kord in action? It feels a little weird too, right? I don't know if they work concurrently together in the comics. I'm not a Blue Beetle comic reader. Please let us know in the comments.
From what I remember reading online about just the comics and stuff, when they were together, because there was a time when Ted Kord was dead, when they were together, it would be like Ted Kord playing the mentor role, and then Jaime playing like the young, silly superhero role. And then, so that's what like the angle they would play. So maybe they could do that if they wanted to have both of them.
Oh, well, I guess we'll find out. A lot of these episodes in the podcast have featured controversies and scandals surrounding either the actors or the production itself. But this film is pretty scandal-free, other than digging the hole and damaging a national heritage site. I think Gunn lying through his teeth about this could also be considered a scandal. And there's one other thing, which maybe I'll just bring it up now. During the SAG-AFTRA strikes, before the film released, there was a man in a studio-quality Blue Beetle costume on the picket line during the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. Now, it's not the best looking costume compared to the one in the film. It could be like a stunt costume or something. We never found out who this person was. And my running theory is that Warner Brothers, in an underhanded way, decided to market the movie by sending out a stunt guy with a Blue Beetle costume to picket and grab headlines and attention. It's really hard to find any mention of this online anymore, but I saved a picture of it, and it's going to be the thumbnail for today's episode, so you be the judge. Is that a cosplayer, or is that a guy from the company? Because for a movie that hasn't even come out yet, it looks really fucking good. Thomas thinks I'm crazy.
Well, I just think you're crazy in general. I mean, I've seen people make some crazy ass fucking cosplays. To me, it looks like a Halloween costume, kind of. Although Instagram did compress the shit out of it, so.
Yeah. Like, to me, it looks really good, and the only parts of it that look a little iffy are, like, around the abs and the legs. But I think that would be because this is a stunt guy who doesn't really need all the detail around those parts.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe I'm crazy, but Warner Brothers is a scummy company like all these other companies. It would not shock me if they tried to do this. Also, the writer of the film was on the picket lines promoting the movie. Donat Alcocer was like taking a picture on the picket line.
Oh, in front of the poster?
in front of the poster while on the picket line, basically promoting the movie, which is a big no-no if you are striking. So I guess that's also a pretty valid controversy.
I do, realize why you can't, promote them, but I also understand that, this is his second big movie, and it's, a big superhero movie, and, trying to at least kind of recognize his own accomplishments would kind of suck that you couldn't do it in the moment.
Oh well. Sorry. That does suck, but I don't think you should be,
he also
crossing the fucking picket line.
He could have just posted the picture later.
Yeah, exactly. He could have taken a picture and posted it when the strikes were over, and I wouldn't judge him at all for that. But to be promoting the movie while you're on the fucking picket line, it's gross. It's gross. But that's pretty much it for controversies. Nobody in this is a sex pest as far as I know. Nobody got killed or anything.
And now on to the state of movies, DC, and the characters at release. Other movies releasing around this time included, just little indie films like Oppenheimer, Barbie, Haunted Mansion, TMNT Mutant Mayhem, Meg 2, Strays, Gran Turismo, The Equalizer 3, The Nun 2, and My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, which I didn't even know that they made 3 of those.
I didn't even know they made 2 of those.
I remember saying the same thing back, Aquaman, I think, was when Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 came out, and I'm like, they made a second one? And then I'm like, they made a third one?
Pretty packed month right there.
You have Oppenheimer and Barbie alone, made probably, 1.5 billion, if not more, almost 2 billion at the box office.
Yeah, and they're positioning Blue Beetle as a family film, but even here, there's a lot of other family films. Haunted Mansion, TMNT.
A lot of these would be direct competitors to people that would want to see Blue Beetle. But again, they're just putting out all these movies to die at this point, so they probably don't care.
They care. They want to make money, but I think after The Flash bombed especially, they're not going to work their ass off to market this thing.
No. This was also, just like The Flash, promotion took place during the strike, so you weren't getting a lot of promotion for movies.
No.
In the DC Comics realm, Blue Beetle had a limited series from January 2023 to June 2023 called Blue Beetle Graduation Day. It followed Jaime Reyes after graduation as he tries to figure out his future. The comic was simultaneously released in English and Spanish print and digital editions, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Graduation Day would also feature the debut of Palmero City as a location in the DC universe, despite being an original creation made for the film, which would release after the book. The miniseries would also lead into an ongoing series that lasted for 11 issues. This ongoing series was also released in English and Spanish at the same time as well. And as for big universe-wide events, we had the Night Terrors event taking place, and after the barrier between the awake and dreaming worlds starts to break due to the villain Insomnia, the heroes and villains of the DC universe have to face their greatest nightmares in order to stop him. It was a 6-issue miniseries with 22 2-issue tie-ins featuring different characters.
I really like that premise.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting premise. It reminds me of that one Justice League episode where I think Batman is trying to stay awake because the world's falling asleep or something, and he's just listening to the wheels on the bus for 24 hours a day, trying to not fall asleep.
Oh god, I remember that one.
It's interesting too that they introduced Palmero City in the comics as well.
Yeah, it was made for the movie, and then I think whoever was in charge, I guess James Gunn, right, head of DC everything at this point, probably told the comic people, hey, this is what we're doing now. No more El Paso.
And in the DC animation realm, the only animated feature around this time was the September release Scooby-Doo and Crypto 2, a crossover film that seems pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, so that takes us right into the plot synopsis and discussion. In Antarctica, members of Cord Industries, led by its co-founder and CEO Victoria Cord, locate an ancient alien artifact known as the Scarab. Meanwhile, Jaime Reyes returns to his hometown of Palmera City after graduating from Gotham Law University, only to learn that his family is facing eviction from their home due to financial difficulties. Jaime's sister, Milagro, manages to get him a job at Victoria's mansion. However, both are fired after Jaime stops a confrontation between Victoria and her niece, Jenny. Jenny later tells Jaime to meet her at Cord Tower the next day to discuss a, quote, job opportunity.
I feel really dumb right now because, well, first of all, I feel like I didn't realize that was Antarctica in the opening scene. And then also, I didn't realize that he went to Gotham Law University, and I didn't know that was Victoria's mansion. I thought that was just a country club.
I mean, I knew it was her house, but like I didn't really pick up on the Gotham Law or Antarctica thing. Not really important details. I wouldn't beat yourself up over it.
After this podcast, after we're done recording, it's over for me.
I don't like the implications of that.
What do you think about the opening here?
I love the opening. I'm gonna probably say it a lot throughout this episode, but I think where the film shines the most is in its family dynamic and when it leans into the Latino culture and stuff. So the opening with Jaime coming home and being greeted by his family and going out to dinner, and then him and his sister working these shitty jobs, I liked it. I couldn't give two shits about the Scarab or Victoria Court, which is definitely the weakest part of the movie. I'm not sure how much of it can be blamed on Susan Sarandon or just the script in general or the direction, but she is so boring.
Yeah, she definitely felt... It was weird because at times it felt like she was trying, and then other times it'd be like she was really phoning it in. And sometimes it'd be in like back-to-back takes. So like one part of a scene she'd be like phoning it in, and then the next part she'd be trying.
Also, I think it's weird that they got Susan Sarandon to replace Sharon Stone. She is significantly older than Sharon Stone. Sharon Stone is currently 67 years old, and Susan Sarandon is like 79. That's a pretty big difference. And, you know, I don't have a problem with casting older women in roles in Hollywood. I just think, like, if you're gonna have her be Ted Kord's sister, and then you look at how old Jenny is, you've got to do the math there on like when she was born and stuff. So it's like, it's kind of weird to have like your aunt be an 80-year-old woman when you, Jenny, are probably like, what, 20 something? I don't know. Maybe it's because I just knew it was Susan Sarandon and I was overthinking it.
If you do look at the ages though, yeah, I would agree that probably...
Because I'm just thinking, like, how old is Ted Kord in this universe?
Maybe he's just really, really younger than her.
Did he have Jenny when he was 60 years old? Like, I mean, rich people do that kind of stuff.
Robert De Niro?
Yeah, I was going to say, both, like, De Niro and Al Pacino both just had a kid at, like, 75 years old.
Happy 16th birthday!
Happy 16th birthday! That's my bad Pacino impression. But I really like Jaime, and I really like his family, so... And also, I think the introduction of Palmera City is really good. I think it's a cool location. It looks very vibrant and different. Like, compared to fucking Metropolis, or Gotham, or any of the other bland-ass cities from this franchise so far, it's actually got some personality.
I don't know if you noticed this too, but... Okay, so they had the opening scene in Antarctica. And then they did, like, these opening credits, which seemed weird to me, but also the opening credits felt like they were the end credits of the movie to me.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then, so I think the only thing that I felt was a little off to me in the opening was it felt like they kind of rushed into all the, like, the family drama without like, really introducing the characters. And I don't know, to me it just felt like the introduction to them, well, the introduction to Jaime and the family was a little lacking. I did like them in the movie, but something about just the way that they introduced him, and then, like, we barely know him, and then they're already rushing into, like, this family drama seemed a little weird.
I feel like most of the family gets a pretty good introduction by this point in the film. I mean, Uncle Rudy's got a great entrance. His dad's kind of bland, but you do see, like, at the dinner table, like, he's willing to tip more than he has to because he's sympathetic with the shitty wages these wait staff are getting, even though they're broke. His sister is obviously the most well-defined. Mm-hmm. Nana gets her moment later. Abuelita, she's a fighter. His mom's also, you know, kind of bland. I think the mom and dad definitely are the blandest, but...
To me, the whole movie kind of felt like it was almost there for me, and this was just one part of it, but I was like, yeah, if there was just a little bit more in it, I think that it'd be a little bit better in the opening. I think it was kind of funny that Susan Sarandon, or, well, Victoria, whatever. I thought it was funny that Victoria was just calling him Carapax, just like it was his normal name.
Yeah, why not?
Didn't even give him a fake name, like, oh yeah, John, go take care of that. She's like, Carapax, go take care of that. Although I think that might kind of play into the fact that, as we see later in the film, she kind of sees him as less than human.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, all the Latino characters, she just sees as tools. Means to an end, you know, even in this opening with Jaime and his sister.
So the next day, Jenny finds that Victoria is using the Scarab for her one-man army corps project, aka OMAC. She steals the scarab and avoids security by giving it to Jaime, hid inside a Big Belly burger to-go box. At home, Jaime's family convinces him to open the box, and when Jaime holds the scarab, it activates and fuses with him, encasing him in an exoskeleton. After getting launched from the stratosphere to all over the city, Jaime tracks down Jenny for answers, rescuing her from Victoria's armed forces. She tells Jaime that the scarab is a sentient weapon and has chosen Jaime as its host. With the help of Jaime's uncle Rudy, Jaime and Jenny break into Cord Tower to retrieve a smartwatch that once belonged to Jenny's father, Ted, but are attacked by Victoria's bodyguard, Ignacio Carapax, who has an OMAC prototype infused into his body. The scarab, revealed to be named Kajida, temporarily takes over Jaime's body and battles Carapax, but Jaime refuses to let it kill Carapax. Rudy and Jenny help incapacitate Carapax before they escape with Jaime to Jenny's childhood home. That's a lot of the movie.
That is, like the first 50 minutes. Yeah. I was still fully on board with the movie by this point. I like the scene where Jaime is like running through the building trying to catch up with Jenny. I like Jenny stealing the scarab. It's nice that she actually has stuff to do at this point in the movie. And honestly, throughout the movie, she's not really a damsel in distress, because later on, you know, her and Milagro are going to blow up the fucking Omax or whatever. So they've got stuff to do. And I love Uncle Rudy. And I love the scene before that where Jaime has this transformation and he goes out on the town against his will. I thought the transformation looked pretty good. I thought it was an interesting, like, way of doing it.
Did you think it was kind of weird that, like, burns all his clothes? Like, it doesn't seem like an exoskeleton to me, because to me, I always felt like it came out from the scarab in his back and, like, went out, but it's kind of like changing his whole body almost.
I mean, it's like the symbiote in Spider-Man, you know? I do agree, like, it is different from portrayals that I've seen in the past, because my introduction to the character was the Brave and the Bold show, in which I think it is just something that goes over him, like an Iron Man suit. I like the fact that it burns off all his clothes. I like the fact that every time he's done superheroing, he's naked. I think that's really funny. I think it's a good trade-off, too, because the Scarab is honestly busted. So, yeah, I mean, he's kind of like the Hulk in that regard. He just ruins all his clothes constantly. I like that. I like that it's a running gag that they keep consistently throughout the movie, that he's got to find more clothes to put on after he's done fighting bad guys.
That first transformation scene was like straight out of a horror movie, too.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really gross and fun. I loved it. The way it was like the goop was seeping into his mouth and stuff, and yeah, I loved it. It was great. The biggest problem I have with the movie, other than the villain being really bland, is that the whole plot feels very paint by numbers. And as much as I enjoyed this sequence, specifically everything after he brings the Scarab back to his house, it feels a lot like other superhero movies. And that's my biggest complaint with the movie, is that it just feels very derivative. Because this sequence is really similar to a few other movies. We obviously have like a Venom-ish thing going on with the transformation and the alien aspect of the Scarab, but it's also a tech suit like Iron Man, and we have this sequence where he's going through the city, flying around up into the stratosphere like in the first Iron Man film. We have the scene where he cuts the bus in half like in Shang-Chi. That happens, but I don't really blame them for that. These films were probably in production at the same time. And, I don't know, I mean, with Jaime's personality and the voice in his head, it just reminded me a lot of Tom Holland in Spider-Man Homecoming, the smart suit. And, like, none of it in this movie is bad. I enjoyed all of it, but I couldn't stop thinking about how I've really seen it all in one place or another before watching this.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the best part of the film is when it's focusing on the cultural aspect and the family stuff, because that's something that you really haven't seen before. Like, putting the Latino part aside, even just focusing on the family aspect of a superhero, it's not something you see very often, if ever. But all the stuff where he's going through the origin story and fighting these villains and stuff, it just, yeah, it all felt really familiar in a way that I think made it hard for me to really get into the movie.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It felt very cookie cutter, like generic, and I'm like, yeah, like, it is cool. And yeah, the family part and like his heritage is probably the best part because it is different, and then the rest of it is just like, it's fine, but it doesn't make itself too different in any other regard.
I don't even know how much of the blame I could put on the movie itself, like the quality of its writing versus it just being late to the party.
Mm-hmm.
Because if this movie had come out before Spider-Man Homecoming, I think we would have a different opinion of it.
Probably, yeah. To me, it's almost like they wrote a draft and then they were like, yeah, we're just gonna incorporate some of the other like superhero movies that did really well, and then like we can change it later, and then they just didn't change it later.
The suit looks awesome.
Oh yeah.
The suit looks really fucking good. And it's also worth noting that the suit is fully practical, except for the legs on his back, which obviously had to be done with CGI. But the suit is fully practical, and while doing research for the episode, I found that a lot of the movie was shot on real sets with real props and set pieces. Like even the bus. I read that Soto had decided to use 2 halves of a bus to simulate the bus getting cut in half instead of doing that with CGI. So you're seeing like CGI to like get the like burn marks and stuff, but like it's a real bus with real people in it, just like simulated being cut in half as the 2 halves are put together and pulled apart. I just thought it was really cool, and like honestly that is one aspect of the movie that really shone through for me, is like we disagree on this, but I think the movie looked good. And aside from the actual like cinematography itself, the action feels very tactile. Like one of the things that makes me tune out of other action films and superhero films specifically is how CGI heavy everything is. But here, like it really does feel like there's a guy in a suit beating the shit out of people. It felt like most of the action scenes really worked for me, even if the plot and the villain didn't.
I just want to say, like, I don't think it looks horrible. I do think that maybe my internet was being shitty and it was kind of like pixelated or something, but I think if I watched it on like TV it'd be better. I just watched it on my computer. Did you see the Ally Bank ads on the skyscrapers?
No.
Oh, it was really funny. I had a note that said Ally Bank ads on skyscrapers, and then we had some snap zooms always flying around. I said Man of Steel is so back.
Yeah. That is great.
I will say, I think it's nice that they did choose a bit of a... Well, ignoring the fact that they introduced the Scarab as the world-destroying weapon, which I thought just made it a little cliche, but I did enjoy that they kind of went for a bit of a smaller villain, because knowing the lore of Blue Beetle, there's like all these other Beetles out there in the universe, and I was kind of expecting for them to go for like one of those for the first movie. So I guess it's kind of nice that they held themselves back a bit and didn't go all out in the first movie.
For the research for the episode, I found that Soto wanted to do a trilogy of Blue Beetle films. So yeah, refreshingly low stakes. I mean, we get that one dumb room at the end with all the OMAC spines or whatever, but pretty low stakes.
Did you like the Fortnite reference?
Refresh my memory.
They had El Chapulín, Colorado in it.
Oh, yes.
You know, from Fortnite, definitely not from anything else.
The Fortnite original character. I thought that was crazy, yeah. And I actually looked it up later. That whole stop motion thing was made for the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why they did that instead of using a clip from the show, but I liked it.
I guess it's like a really popular show in Mexico, so...
Well, yeah,
I feel like
huge.
people...
I mean, he's in Fortnite.
I feel like when it came out, people were very surprised that they actually got that in the movie.
And again, like, the fact that they went out of their way to make a whole stop-motion animated sequence for it. It's like, there is clearly love and care being put into parts of this movie. Everything about the physical production of it is really impressive to me. Especially because I think this is one of the lower budgets in the franchise.
I don't know when they said it, but there was a line when they said, George Lopez was talking about the government locking up Mexicans anyway, and I felt like it hit hard in 2023, but like now it hits even harder.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where to put that in my notes, but there are a few sequences in this movie, especially when his family is being kidnapped, before his dad dies, spoiler, where I was like, damn, this feels a little too real right now, considering all the shit we've seen with ICE in the past year. It's kind of spooky. Not that ICE wasn't already doing that stuff under Biden or under Obama, but Trump's got a certain showmanship, let's call it, that puts it more in your face.
Yeah.
Jenny uses Ted's watch to activate his secret laboratory and reveals that Ted was a vigilante named Blue Beetle who spent his life studying Kajida before mysteriously disappearing, leaving his company in Victoria's hands. When they notice Victoria's helicopter flying towards Jaime's home, Jaime summons Kajida and returns to protect his family. But Jaime's father, Alberto, collapses and dies from a heart attack, distracting Jaime and allowing Carapax and Victoria to capture him. Jaime is taken to an island fortress near Cuba, where he's strapped to a machine that downloads information from Kajida into the OMAX. While unconscious, Jaime experiences a vision from Alberto in the afterlife, who encourages him to embrace his destiny as the new Blue Beetle. How is there still an hour left? I texted you at this point. How is there still an hour left? Because when I sent that text, it was after Rudy and Jaime have that conversation on the balcony, which is kind of this movie's version of like the great power, great responsibility talk. Or it's like meant to inspire him and to, you know, comfort him with the new information that he will never be able to take the scarab out of his body, and he's going to be stuck as the Blue Beetle for the rest of his life. And I like that scene, and I like all the stuff in Ted Kord's base. I thought that was cool. And again, really great set. But when I saw the helicopter flying towards his house, I'm thinking, okay, this is the end of the movie. Jaime is going to be driven to protect his family and embrace his new identity. And he's going to stop Victoria, he's going to stop the OMAC, and that's the end of the film. He's going to go to his house, he's going to stop them all there. And then there's a whole extra hour of the movie where the third act goes on for an entire hour. Like, not only does he not stop them at his house, but it drags things out even more because now his family is taken hostage and brought to another location. Like, I really thought Victoria and Carapax were going to die here. I thought this was all just going to be a big showdown at the house, which would have probably made this a tight 90, which would be much improved over the 2 hours that it actually ends up being. And also, I think it's really all you need. Like, as far as a Blue Beetle origin story goes, I think we've already had a lot of action scenes, both in and out of the costume for Jaime, and you can have a big showdown with Carapax, like he ends up having later anyway. I don't know. I just think the end gets really drawn out, and I think you could have just had the final act take place at the house. You already have all the guards there, and Carapax, so... And I honestly think the whole scene with his dad in the afterlife, and I don't know if I'd call it the afterlife. I don't know what the fuck it was. I don't know if it's connected at all to the scarab, or if Jaime's just imagining it. I'm not sure how much of the scarab is alien/mystical/tech. I don't know. That was weird to me.
I do agree that, like, even after all of this was done, and, like, after he's kidnapped, I did look at the time, because I was like, I just wonder how much is left. And it was, like, an hour, and I was like, that seems like kind of a lot. The whole movie as a whole, it, like, started off slow, and then it got fast, and I felt like now it started dragging out a little bit. They definitely could have combined something here and there to probably trim it down a little bit. It was around this point where I looked it up because I was curious, and I did find that Jenny Cord is an original character.
Oh, I didn't know that. I knew Victoria was, but okay.
And because I was like, I've never heard of Ted Cord having a daughter, and so I looked it up, and it doesn't sound like she'd been in the comics before or anything, so I just thought that was interesting. I will say, when they were kind of showing, well, first of all, when the helicopter showed up above Ted's home, I thought that she was going there, and then when they revealed that she was flying over, I thought it was kind of weird. Like, did she know that they were there, or was she just casually flying over randomly?
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Because there was definitely lights on in the house, and I'm like, oh, she's gonna, like, show up and they're gonna fight or something, and then it just flies over. But I will say that I did feel worried for his family as they were flying towards the house. I was like, damn, that's actually, because he's not there, you know, they don't really have means to protect themselves.
Yeah, I agree. It felt like there were some real stakes there, and his dad ends up dying, so maybe it would have been better if it wasn't a heart attack. I mean, the soldier does butt him in the head with the back of the rifle, so that, in the stress of the situation, obviously contributes. But no, I like the stuff at the house. I don't have a problem with that. I just think moving everybody to another location for the finale is, I don't know, it was just too much.
I kind of wish that the dad had got a little bit more throughout the movie to make his death a bit more I don't know, like hit a little bit harder. Also, before that, the death flags were just all over. I'm like, his dad is so fucking dead at the end of this scene. Like, there's no way he's making it out.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said at the beginning, the dad gets some personality and a little bit of development there, or not even development, but characterization when he's like, willing to spend the money that they don't have on somebody else. And I don't know, he seems like a very kind man, but he is pretty flat compared to, Jaime's sister or uncle, or his grandma, as we will soon find out. Yeah, no, I agree. I also think it's just another way in which the film is kind of derivative, because the scene where Jaime meets his dad in the afterlife, I mean, that's exactly like Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
And it, like, wasn't bad, but I agree. Like, his dad really wasn't fleshed out enough that I was sad that he was gone. And also, it happens back to back. Like, he dies and then he meets him in the afterlife. And it's like, I feel like maybe you could have put some more space between those things. Or, yeah, just given him any deeper level of characterization that would make us care more that he died and that we would be seeing him again. I don't blame the actor. I think it is just a failing of the script.
To me, it felt like they should have taken some of what they gave to Rudy and gave it to the dad, because sometimes it felt like Rudy was getting the emotional connection scenes with Jaime.
That is true. Yeah, I didn't really...
Like the scene you were talking about, the Great Responsibility scene or whatever, the Spider-Man scene talk with him. He's talking to Rudy, not his dad.
That's a great fucking point. I didn't even think about it, but you're right. Like, Uncle Rudy has a shitload to do in this movie. And I mean, it's no surprise. I mean, he's being played by George Lopez, who has way more American appeal than the actor playing his dad. But you're right. Like, a lot of those scenes totally could have been given to his dad. And, like, isn't it established that his dad and Rudy, I think together, ran some auto shop or something? So it's like you could have had the dad be with Jaime at Ted Kord's mansion, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he could be the one hyping up Ted Kord. I mean, Rudy could still call Batman a fascist or whatever. But I did think it was kind of weird that, like, Rudy is praising Ted Kord, Blue Beetle. And it's like, I don't think Rudy would be the kind of person to praise any superhero.
Yeah.
I don't know. That felt a little weird, especially after he shits on Batman. While we're talking about Rudy, I think George Lopez does a shockingly good job. Like, I don't think he's a bad actor or anything, but I've only ever seen him in stuff that's comedic. But there are a few, like, dramatic moments in the movie, like that conversation on the balcony where he does a pretty fucking good job. Like, he is shockingly good in this movie.
Shockingly like Mr. Electric.
Oh, god damn it. That was not intentional.
Yeah, he had some good scenes. It's not like I'm like, yeah, George Lopez is one of my favorites, but he held his own in this. I did like the fight scene at the house with Blue Beetle and all the guys. Yeah, I like the way that they allowed him to be creative with his powers.
Yeah, I like the big staples.
Yeah, those are so funny. Although it did make me confused when later he just could, like, make them go away at will.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like a projection or something. I don't know. It's like space magic tech. You just gotta not question it.
Going back to his dad, too, I think one of my least favorite things happened during the afterlife scene, because he says, I think earlier in the movie, him and Jaime talk, and he says he doesn't know, like, what to do with his life, and then he's like, I'm still searching too. And then in this afterlife scene, he goes, yeah, I think my destiny was to be here for you, to, like, be your motivation. I'm like, so he's basically saying his destiny was to die to be your motivation to be a better person, which is really fucked up.
God, you're so right. Oh, that's fucking funny, man. Yeah, they really screwed the pooch on that one. The dad totally misused.
Like, I would have liked that scene more if he didn't phrase it like that, or he's like, yeah, maybe, I didn't find my place or something, maybe you can find yours. I don't know. But I like the idea of Jaime and the Scarab becoming one. I don't know if the scene was the best way to do it, but I think it was after this part, but I was like, this is gonna sound super white of me, but I wish they had subtitles when they're speaking Spanish. Which I found out later that they kind of did have them, but you had to turn them on.
You want to talk frustrating? When I watched Dawn of the Planet of the Apes for the first time, there are scenes where the apes are doing sign language, and in theaters it had subtitles, but in the version that acquired, there were no subtitles for the sign language.
They should be burned in. What the hell?
So the apes are just talking in sign language, and I'm just staring at two silent animals waving their arms at each other, and I'm like, yep, this is a scene.
This is cinema. I thought that the music sounded very similar to Black Adam.
Yeah, I can see that.
It was different composers, because I looked it up while I was watching, but I thought that it was just kind of similar. And then I thought it was funny when they show the island, and I was like, oh, it kind of looks like the island from Resident Evil 4.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Castillo is an inspiration for that. Despite Resident Evil 4 taking place in some nondescript Western European country, it's Spain.
No, it couldn't be.
It couldn't be Spain.
While Jenny and the Reyes family used Ted... I was going to say Ted Bundy. I saw the capitalized B. While Jenny and the Reyes family use Ted's bug ship and its weapons arsenal to storm the island, Jaime awakens and escapes as Carapax's OMAC suit evolves into a more powerful form. Jaime reunites with his family, then encounters Carapax and battles him. Jeez, I'm just seeing Carapax in this paragraph like 20 times. After Carapax shoots at Rudy while he aids his nephew, Jaime nearly kills Carapax out of rage, but is stopped by Kaji Da, who shows him Carapax's memories obtained through the information download, from which Jaime learns of Carapax's tragic past, including his enslavement by Victoria for the OMAC experiments and the inadvertent death of his mother at her hands. Moved by this revelation, Jaime spares Carapax, who promptly turns on Victoria and sets his OMAC suit to self-destruct and destroy the island, just killing himself and Victoria as vengeance for his mother. As the Reyes family escapes the island, they finally take time to mourn Alberto. What'd you think of the needle drop?
Which one? Kickstart My Heart?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
Oh, okay.
I was also surprised it was like the only needle drop, at least in English. And yeah, no, I mean, it worked. I love the scene of his family and Jenny piloting the bug ship. I thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they brought the...
I thought the bug ship looked cool, too.
Yeah, I really love the bug ship's design. I love that the family has stuff to do. I like the gag of the abuela being revolutionary. Yeah, that was awesome. That was great.
That was really funny.
There's some good and some bad in this back half, and the stuff with the family, again, is the best. Mm-hmm. And the worst is everything with Victoria and Carapax. That was such an ass pull of like a way to give Carapax some sort of weird redemption arc and backstory. It's like, dude, if you wanted to give Carapax a backstory and make it more sympathetic or interesting in any way, you should have been doing that for the past 2 hours, not at the last minute.
Or at least hinting at it.
Yeah, and also showing the School of the Americas in his flashback is fucking crazy. I'm not going to get into that, but that's some like CIA shit, crazy stuff. I do like that he drags Victoria into the fire and they both die. I do like that. But I think it's a face turn that comes out of nowhere. And it just, I don't know. You gotta earn that.
I said, oh, look, a Demon Slayer flashback.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I did kind of enjoy that they gave a bit more background to Carapax, because before this he was just very like, and honest, I mean, I guess Victoria's like the big villain, but he's the muscle. But he seemed so generic, and I was like, okay, I guess it's kind of cool that they gave him a little bit of backstory, and it's kind of nice that we can sympathize with him a little bit, and, you know, we do see that Victoria was even eviler than we thought she was, because she abducted him and, like, basically made him this person that he is today. But they only hinted at it in the first scene, where he had his little locket. Honestly, that thing about it now, that scene kind of seems like a reshoot that they added in.
Could be.
I guess they do try and push like this idea of him saying like your family makes you weak, and then like I guess he also had his family, but also it was like his mom, which I mean is still family, but you know he has like his whole family, and then I don't know.
I love that, but again, it's a line that Carapax says to him near the end of the film. Mm-hmm. And if they had established that Carapax has this parallel with his family, or even save the reveal that his family was killed by Victoria for this part of the film, that would still work. But you need to establish Carapax's like I don't know, ideology, strategy, whatever. You know, his way of getting into Jaime's head. Because, yeah, for most of the movie, he's just going after Jaime, not his family. And he's just acting like dumb muscle. It's honestly ridiculous how much time we're spending talking about him, because the time we've spent talking about him is more than he probably even talks during the film or has any kind of development.
To me, looking back on it, especially after this final scene, it kind of seemed like, I don't know, he didn't have the memories of his family or something at the beginning, and like he was only remembering at the end, or I don't know, it seemed like he was some sort of brainless, like, muscle big guy throughout the movie or something. Because why does he do this face turn at the end? Just because Jaime knows his past? I don't know.
That's a good point. Like, maybe Jaime unlocked the memories for him or something through the scarab. It could have been conveyed a little better if that was the case.
Yeah.
During this part, you also got members of the family planting bombs, and Jaime takes out a bunch of guys with his fists and stuff, and again, good action. I liked it.
I liked that they had kind of something for almost everyone to do. The mamas didn't do much, but going into this, I was like, I don't know how I feel about the family going into rescue, and like, what the fuck are they gonna do? But you know, they kind of hold their own, maybe a bit illogically, but it was fun, and I liked that they weren't just helpless, and they actually did kind of rescue Jaime. I really like how because I just said that, like, the mom didn't do anything, but through most of the earlier film, the grandma doesn't do anything, and then we have this face turn at the end where she just goes badass, and she has like this laser minigun and is just mowing people down. I thought it was really funny, because earlier in the movie, we're like, this old lady's not doing anything.
Yeah, she's just like sewing, and she's just, you know, la-di-da, and then, it's good. And I agree, like, the mom, again, like, with the dad, not a lot to do. It's mostly his sister, his uncle, and his grandma, which maybe at that point, maybe you just write those characters out of the movie. Maybe you just have it be his uncle and his grandma, or make his uncle his dad and have the grandma. I don't know.
His uncle is dad. Well, I know what you're saying. I mean. It just sounds funny. Your uncle is now your father.
I mean, I do like his mom's little speech in the bug ship where she's giving Kajida a stern talking to. Mm-hmm. I like that, and it works better for me than his dad talking to Jaime in the afterlife.
That's like the only thing that she did throughout the whole movie.
I don't disagree. I wish she had more to do.
The mom and the dad are like the two most important roles to him in the family, and then they just focus on them the least. It's very strange. I also noticed during the fighting on the island, I thought it was kind of interesting that, well, actually, first, before I talk about that, I really, really hated how they had, what was it? I don't remember, the scientist guy. Jose.
De La Cruz.
Yeah.
De La Cruz, yeah.
Which I did kind of like that they tied back in. She always calls him Sanchez, and then between that and then the lady receptionist at the beginning calling Jaime Jamie, I just thought that it was funny how they're like, they don't care about their real names, and especially Victoria, well, mostly Victoria, she doesn't care. She just, Sanchez, she's calling him probably something racist. Just shows that she's even more of a piece of shit. But so then, we have this guy doing all this stuff throughout, and I expected a face turn coming where he'd help at some point. But so he gets Jaime out of the room, goes, go on, and sacrifices his life. Jaime just fucking stands at the door and watches him get murdered, and then starts running after it happens. And I'm like, dude, he's literally sacrificing his life for you. What are you doing?
Yeah, and I don't even think that was necessary. Like, you probably could have gotten out of the room and destroyed a panel from the outside or something. I don't know. He plays Guillermo on What We Do in the Shadows. Fantastic. He is so underused in this movie. It is criminal. And he's got that really big impassioned like rant at the end towards Victoria, which also I think feeds into your theory that Carapax doesn't have his memories, because I think Carapax would identify strongly with what he's saying in that moment, and they're all in the room together. So, but yeah, he just fucking opens a door and kills himself. Like, I don't know. I was expecting a little more out of that guy. I'm glad he had a moment. I was kind of afraid that he was just going to be in the background the whole movie. At least he's got a scene, but I was expecting more, because I really like that actor.
I just literally watches him get murdered, and then it goes, oh, I should run now. So silly.
Completely wasted the head start.
But also in the fighting scenes, I thought it was kind of interesting that they did kind of have a lot of influences in it. Like they have the Mortal Kombat reference, which was fun. They have like other anime, video game, and even wrestling kind of influences in the fight. I thought it was just interesting and made it a little bit more fun.
I did have that thought as well when Jaime thinks that Rudy's dead, and he has like a sort of anime Dragon Ball moment where he's like got the lightning all over him and he's screaming and stuff. Like he's getting amped up. I thought that was fun.
And he makes the Buster Sword.
Yes.
I did actually. I liked that by assimilating with the Scarab, that they kind of did like the thing of the Scarab becomes more human and then brings him back down and doesn't let him kill Carapax. But I felt like it wasn't that earned because we don't have that much interaction between him and the Scarab throughout the movie. It's really just hanging on that one scene earlier where the Scarab wants to kill Carapax and then Jaime says no. I felt like there could have been a bit more of a relationship between them throughout the movie, and it would have hit a little bit harder.
Yeah, I agree. It just, not to be a broken record, but it just speaks to the misplaced priorities of the script. Especially
because like the Scarab is supposed to be in his head all the time.
Yeah.
I would think that it'd be kind of like a second internal monologue running with like thoughts, which would have been interesting if we could hear it reacting to what's going on.
They even do that more than this film in Spider-Man Homecoming. Like when he's got the smart suit. It's like an excuse for Spider-Man to monologue to himself like he would in the comic books. Without seeming like a crazy person. But like they do have like that moment where they're trapped in the bunker or whatever and they're having like a nice heartfelt conversation. And it's like, why wasn't that kind of stuff here?
Yeah.
I don't know. Focusing so much on the action and less on the relationship or character stuff is always where they go wrong. Also want to quickly highlight, I do appreciate the scene where after the family escapes, they all take a moment to mourn the dad. I thought that was nice.
It was weird that they didn't like take time to even think about him, but also Jaime's been captured. Like they don't have time to think about that. I did notice that the daughter took his jacket, which I thought was nice.
I didn't even notice that.
She was
That's
wearing
a nice
it
touch.
when they were on the island. Which also, I think I'll just point out now, I thought that she was really funny in the movie.
Oh yeah, I loved her. She's great.
Her and Jaime's relationship was nice.
I completely agree. I thought she was wonderful. And I had a similar thought where like when they're in the bug ship and they're testing out all the little gadgets and stuff, they're like smiling and laughing and they're having a good time, and I'm thinking, well, first of all, George Lopez just skewered a guy with the foot of the bug ship and like murdered somebody straight up. And they're all like ear to ear smiles. But I was also thinking like, your dad just died and you're like smiling. I'm thinking about the sister, and it's like, but the movie did take the time to acknowledge later, like, okay, we could not process this in the moment because there were other things going on. I think that is good, and I think a lesser movie would have just not acknowledged it.
There was kind of another moment like that earlier in the movie where, like, after he turns into Blue Beetle, and they just seemed, like, super relaxed about him, like, being back, and, having been gone for hours after turning into, like, this blue, like, exosuit thing and flying out the roof, and they're just, like, all making fun of him.
Well, in all fairness to the movie, that is after Jaime wakes up, so who knows how long he was laying asleep on the couch. And they had time to process it.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, they should still be freaked out. Maybe a little more than they are, but... Anyway, wrapping things up. In the aftermath, Jenny becomes the new CEO of Cord Industries and promises to repair the damage caused to the Reyes family by helping them rebuild their home. As the neighbors gather around the remains of the Reyes family home and provide support, Jaime kisses Jenny and then offers to fly her to the Cord estate. In a mid-credit scene, a distorted recording is broadcast in Ted's lab, attempting to inform Jenny he is alive.
We have the two boner references of the DCEU in this movie. Earlier,
we didn't even talk about it. Please take it away.
Well, earlier when they're at Ted Kord's house, and they have like this heart-to-heart between Jaime and Jenny, which they didn't mention in this, but she talks about like how her mother died when she was 6, and then her father was always gone or whatever, and then they almost kiss, and then Rudy interrupts them, and then Jenny leaves the room, and then Jaime gets up and clearly like has a boner.
Yeah, you had texted me and said like first boner in the DCEU, and honestly, first ever maybe for a superhero film. So there you go. That's another way. It's a history-making film.
First Latino superhero movie? Nah, first boner in a superhero movie? Yeah.
There you go.
And then we get it again later here when he kisses Jenny, and she's like, the Scarab is like, I feel blood rushing to your midsection.
Yeah.
Well, I like the end, though. I like that the family came to, I mean, I guess help them rebuild their home. I don't really see how they can rebuild it. It's, like, exploded, but...
I think Jaime makes a comment that most of, like, the plumbers and roofers and shit are from his neighborhood. You know, okay. Speaking to the fact that they're all, like, underpaid laborers. Mm-hmm. So, I can buy that. I think it's nice that the community could come together and do something like that, too. Which is why I feel like it's undercut a little bit when Jenny shows up and she's like, yeah, I'm Jaime's billionaire girlfriend, and I'm gonna just, help you rebuild the house with my limitless wealth. That bugged me a tiny bit. Not really, but it's worth acknowledging. It's kind of weird.
Just imagining, like, all these tiny houses, and then they're gonna have a McMansion.
Right, exactly.
Why would you not just fly the bike with her? He's like, I'll give you a ride. He just takes her, not the motor. How is she gonna get back home later? Is he gonna fly her back?
I guess he's just gonna be her chauffeur for the rest of the day.
She gets a new bike.
So, for Did It Work, I really didn't know what to put here, because there aren't any controversial decisions with this movie. There isn't anything crazy to talk about. So, did it work to give Blue Beetle his own film, and did it work to center it around Jaime instead of Ted Kord? I think so. I wish the film wasn't so familiar, but I'm not sure how much that can really be put onto the film. I mean, it definitely is put onto the film in the script. The script could have been more original. It could have made different choices that would have made it stand out more. But also, in the year 2023, there's a lot of superhero films, past and present, so it is tougher to define yourself. And I do think the film does a decent job of finding its own niche. And I honestly, I think with Ted Kord it would probably be less interesting.
Yeah, and it's not like he has the family that Jaime has, which is, we both agreed, is the most interesting part of the movie. So I feel like unless they had Booster Gold in it, and they were like a comedy duo just doing stupid shit together, I think it would be even more bland as a superhero than this movie would be. But I mean, giving him his own film, I thought it was good. It wasn't the best, but I think we both agreed that just kind of comes down to the writing and also just how many movies there have been. But you're right that it kind of carves out its own little area where it does its best work. It's just unfortunate that they didn't really either realize that while writing or filming and then work around that to kind of incorporate it more into the film. But, I mean, there's also just probably the check marks that you have to hit making a superhero movie. Like, yeah, we gotta have the big battle, gotta have an emotional scene. Maybe the problem just wasn't that they weren't brave enough to try and do something different.
And it could also be the fact that this was originally designed to be a TV movie. This was supposed to go straight to HBO Max. The lines between TV and film are blurring more and more year after year, but like it or not, a TV movie is still a TV movie. Mm-hmm. This was meant to serve as a sort of introduction to the character, which I think it does work as. It had more potential that it didn't live up to. I don't know. I get what it is. I get what it could have been, and I don't know. I have very complicated feelings about this movie because I want to recommend it to people, but if you have seen superhero movies before, Iron Man or Spider-Man Homecoming or Venom, you're gonna pick up a lot of familiar notes here. If this is like something you're showing to a kid who's never seen a superhero movie before, it might just be like that kid's favorite movie of all time. Just because they don't know any better and they haven't seen all the shit we've seen.
Yeah, it really felt like, after watching it, it didn't leave the strongest impact on me, and probably the biggest thing that I felt from it was, wow, I wish they had taken more time to work on it and let it bake in the oven.
Yeah, I think for me, the plot is probably going to completely fade away from my memory in a week or two. But the character and Xolo's portrayal is going to stick with me. Like, I like the family. I'm going to remember the family. I'm going to remember him. And that's pretty much it. And when he pops up again, I'm going to be happy to see him.
Yeah, I would not mind seeing him again in future DCU movies, which, at this point, who even knows? After this week's news.
Yeah, it was announced that Netflix has given up and Paramount's going to be buying Warner Brothers. Who knows? I mean, I think they're probably going to keep the DCU running. It's a moneymaker. I mean, there hasn't been a lot put out yet, but that, don't throw rocks if you live in a glass house, right? I mean, if you look at Paramount's slate over the past few years, they really don't know how to make movies anymore either. Superman made money. I feel like, as stupid and evil as Larry Ellison is, or David whoever the fuck, I don't know which one's the son or the dad. They're
both pieces of shit.
I was about to say something we could not air.
Wait, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say they need to be dragged out into the street.
No, you can put that in. Why not?
We need to move on.
So I guess we'll just move on to the aftermath of release. As for reception and critical response, Blue Beetle garnered pretty positive reviews. It had a Rotten Tomatoes score of 78% with an audience score of 90%, which seems kind of like surprisingly high for me. It's the highest since Suicide Squad's 90%, and the 5th highest overall. It received a Metacritic score of 61. It got a Cinema score of B+.
61 sounds more right to me than 90.
I'd go like 70s, maybe low 70s, and that's being generous. But it doesn't matter what we think, or the critics think, because what money speaks louder than words. I just love fucking it up every week. The film had a reported budget of 104 to 125 million, which is probably one of the lowest budgets. Maybe Birds of Prey is lower. On its opening weekend, it made $25 million domestically. And there was a lot of external factors that potentially hurt its opening weekend, including, the impending DC reboot, the writers' strikes in Hollywood, and I guess Hurricane Hillary was also happening at the time too, which would impact the South, which I'm sure a lot of, people that wanted to see the movie were in the South. So
that does happen. I think the latest Avatar film grossed a lot less than people thought, because in its opening weeks there were those huge blizzards and storms, and people just didn't want to fucking leave the house.
Yeah. And for final totals, domestically it made 72.5 million. Internationally it made 58.3 million, for a total of 130.8 million, which would end up being, spoiler alert, the lowest grossing film in the DCEU, and obviously it didn't make a profit.
Yeah, that sucks.
I'm surprised. I don't know. I feel like
it is shockingly low.
Being like the only Latino superhero movie alone, I would think that it would kind of get a lot more. I know there's a lot of hype in Brazil for it too.
And it makes me really sad, because I don't think this movie's bad. And I think that with how shitty the box office performance was, it might give the wrong message. Their takeaway from this might not be, oh, there's a reboot, the strikes, and something else I'm about to get into. But maybe it's, oh, people don't want to see a Mexican superhero.
Which is not at all true.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
The lowest... Stop. The fact that this is the lowest grossing film makes me really sad. I mean, I know the franchise is sputtering out, but damn. Like, there are movies way worse than this in the franchise that should have made less money than...
Shazam 2.
They did. Shazam 2, Suicide Squad. I mean, we gotta remember, David Ayer's Suicide Squad film...
That made almost $1 billion.
Yeah, it made, like, fucking $740 million.
Insane.
7 times as much as this. Unfathomable. Well, it's more like 5 times, but still. And there's one other big reason why I think it's possible this film didn't make a lot of money, and it's something that we haven't really talked about on the show at all. But by the back half of 2023, it is something that's definitely reached the public lexicon. Superhero fatigue. The premise is simple. Because of the abundance of superhero films that have dominated cinemas for over a decade at this point, general audiences have simply become sick of the subgenre, and they've decided that they're not going to go see those types of movies anymore. You're familiar with this, yes?
No, this is the first time hearing of it.
Yeah, right. I mean, on one hand, the argument could be made that it's an issue of quality rather than quantity, as Marvel Studios had hit a sort of slump by this point in their franchise and the DCU was still a mess. This was the argument that James Gunn would make when he's asked about it while he's promoting Superman. And it's a line of reasoning I can agree with, but on the other hand, there's no denying that movie theaters have been oversaturated with superhero movies. Like, Marvel Studios alone, at this point, was responsible for 32 films in 15 years, which is a pace that no other franchise in Hollywood has ever kept up with. And combine that with the DCEU, DC's other films like Joker or The Batman, the Spider-Verse movies, and Sony's, quote, Spider-Man universe that doesn't have Spider-Man in it.
It is getting rebooted.
Yeah, that's now getting rebooted, which maybe we want to save that for another... Anyway. Marvel Studios getting into TV, along with other TV shows like the Amazon shows The Tick, The Boys, and Invincible. And it's like superheroes have become pretty much inescapable.
It's one of the stronger things that comes to my mind when I think of superhero fatigue, because, you know, as we just said, Blue Beetle was very similar to several other movies. And then, I mean, yeah, it did have the family aspect, which made it a little bit different from other ones. But, you know, other superhero movies don't have that, and then they're just very generic. So, like, why do I want to go to the movies and sit through 2 hours of just some generic movie that I could just easily, if I really want to watch it at home? And it doesn't help where if the reviews come out, and, you know, if they say, like, Captain America 4, horrible reviews. So why am I going to want to go see that? I'll just wait for it to come to Disney Plus.
Yeah, that's true. That's a whole other aspect, is like, we've now entered the age where all of these companies and film studios have their own streaming services, and mostly because of COVID lining up alongside the launch of these services, there's a whole shitload of people that aren't even going to go bother to go see these films in theaters. And you're right, like, it's like, they all feel so similar. Why would I want to go get off my ass and go see this in a theater when I could just wait for it to come to streaming? I agree. I think it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B, but I do think it's worth mentioning. I think there is an issue of quality. I think James Gunn is right. But I also do think, and Kevin Feige has publicly gone on record to say that Marvel Studios put out too much too quickly. So I do think it's a matter of output as well as quality. It reminds me a lot of, like, the history of Westerns. Because, like, in the 50s and 60s, Westerns were, like, inescapable. They were fucking everywhere. And it just got to a point where I think everybody got sick of it all at once because there was just too much, and then the Western died as a genre.
Even to this day, they don't make Westerns.
Yeah, it's true.
That often, at least.
It's more of a novelty if they do make one.
Like Rust.
Oh, come on. We gotta go there?
A lot of times, these superhero movies, they don't try to be anything more than what they're labeled as. Like, you go, some of these Marvel movies, they're just like, yep, we're just a superhero movie. And then, like, I want something a bit more to actually go to the movies. Otherwise, like Superman, I saw that twice, and I thought that there was actually, like, it made me feel emotional. Like, I had an emotional response about it. I really enjoyed it. It felt worth going to the movies and seeing on a big screen. And then, like, I watched Captain America 4. I'm like, no, like, I would have been laughing at this in the theaters. So it's just like, they need to evolve to be a bit more than just superhero movies in the future to actually have a longevity, in my opinion. I
completely agree. And I feel like the problem isn't even just superhero movies. I feel like it's everything in theaters these days.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when general audiences complain about superhero fatigue, they're really, like, subconsciously complaining about all of Hollywood and what they have to choose from in theaters, because when you look at the Hollywood landscape in the 2020s versus 20 years ago or 40 years ago, the amount of genres on display and non-franchise films on display has shrunk significantly. Like, look, pay attention to all the films that we talk about during the release of these DCEU movies, and there's almost always nothing but sequels and adaptations of existing works and reboots.
If you even look at the movies that released during this week's episode, Oppenheimer, okay, more original than the rest of the list, but Barbie, IP, Haunted Mansion, reboot and also an IP from Disney, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, reboot, also IP, Meg 2, sequel, Strays, okay, maybe a bit more original, Gran Turismo, video game, Equalizer 3 sequel.
And a reboot.
The Nun 2 sequel. And my Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. Oh, look, a sequel. And also, like, another 90s movie that's kind of like a reboot-ish. It's just like, yeah.
So, I think when people complain about superhero fatigue, it might be less about the movies themselves and just the fact that they're tired of seeing the same old thing over and over. I don't know. I thought that was worth bringing up because the show is wrapping up now and we haven't talked about it at all. But by 2023, I mean, just this year alone, we've got 4 DCU movies as we're covering in our final 4 episodes. But you've also got Across the Spider-Verse, you've also got some Marvel flicks.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and the Marvels, Secret Invasion, Loki Season 2.
The Boys, you've got Invincible. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Is there any scientific data to prove that's the reason why Blue Beetle made no money? No, of course not. There's a lot of factors, but I do think there is some merit to the theory that it's just audiences getting sick of what Hollywood is giving them.
I agree. And in June 2024, Deadline reported that DC Studios was developing an animated Blue Beetle series set in the DCU, with Michael Puga as showrunner and Christian Martinez as the show's writer. Soto and Donat Alcacer would also be executive producers. A month later, while on the red carpet for Cobra Kai Season 6, Xolo Maridueña would be asked by Deadline if he was returning for the series, with him confirming his return to the character, while also confirming that it was likely the rest of the cast would be returning as well. Even his dead dad? He also confirmed being open to return to the role in live action as well, which, yeah, no shit. Last February, Maridueña told the Direct that he believed production would begin that year, with a 2026 release date. But just a few weeks ago, Soto would give an update on the future of the character while doing an interview with The Wrap to promote his new film, The Wrecking Crew, saying, "I don't think that chapter has been closed. I've had friendly conversations with Peter Safran and John Ricard, and I know James is a huge fan of Blue Beetle, and he said multiple times that Blue Beetle is a part of the DCU. I will say that I'm not saying that they've said it, I personally would love to continue Blue Beetle 2, Blue Beetle 3, and work with Xolo and the whole Reyes family, but we have had conversations of how we can expand the adventures of the Reyes family via animation, and if that's something that finally happens, whether it happens or not, conversations have been had. It would be nice. I think that you can do so much with animation, and it's also a fun medium that I've always wanted to explore. So if the movie gods and the people and our dear friends at DC and Warner Brothers see it fit, I would love nothing more than to continue to tell that story." The series has not been formally announced by Warner Brothers, with James Gunn and Peter Safran saying nothing about it as of this podcast recording. Judging from Soto's comments, though, it does sound as though it hasn't even begun pre-production.
Yeah. And that's why I think Gunn was being disingenuous during the press tour to promote the film. If you've knighted Blue Beetle, the first character of the new continuity, shouldn't he be a higher priority for the company and its slate? Like, there obviously haven't been a lot of projects, period, in the DCU so far. But I don't see why Jaime couldn't have appeared in Superman as a cameo or something. I mean, Peacemaker was on the TV for like 5 seconds. You couldn't have done something like that for Blue Beetle? Just to put some people at ease about the certainty of the character's future? I don't know. Like, put your money where your mouth is. I know the DCU has clearly had a lot of problems getting things made for whatever reason, but you could have shot something for Superman.
The only thing I could think of is that Palmero City probably isn't remotely close to Metropolis, so maybe that would be a little hard to work him in that way, but again, something on TV.
Yeah, but that's my point, is Peacemaker's not close to Metropolis either, and Gunn found a way to sneak him into the film for a few seconds.
I'd definitely like to see him. Maybe he'll be in the Teen Titans movie.
Yeah, if it ever comes out.
You know what's gonna happen now? This is gonna release on fucking Monday or whatever day we release it, and then on Tuesday it's gonna be like, Blue Beetle show announced for release in December 2026 or something, and then we're gonna be like, fuck.
I mean, hey, that's great. If that happens, that's great. I mean, if they can announce a fucking Mr. Miracle show, I don't see why they couldn't follow up on their promise that Blue Beetle was going to be part of this new universe. Like, I really like the character. I'd really like to see him again. I think it's a fucking shame that they've set people up with this expectation that he's going to matter. He's going to be a big part of this, or any part of this. And we're in year 3. And all we've got on the slate is the Supergirl movie and the Lantern show. And he's definitely not going to appear in either of those.
That'd be crazy. It'd be cool to see him in Supergirl somehow.
Those are the only two things they've got lined up. I mean, maybe Clayface comes out this year. We don't know for sure. But
Blue Beetle and Clayface.
Yeah, right? Like, Blue Beetle's not going to show up there. I'm not saying he had to be part of the Justice Gang or whatever, but, you know, you're presenting the idea that this is already a lived-in universe with heroes that already exist. I don't see how it could have hurt to throw Jaime in there with the rest of them. I don't know. It's just a shame. I think Xolo did a great job. I think this character is fun to watch, and whatever happens, I'm looking forward to anything they appear in again.
Yeah, me too. Oh, he's going to be in One Piece Season 2.
Oh, who's he playing?
Ace.
Oh, shit!
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty meaty of a role. All right.
That comes out next month, I think. So, after feeling a little blue and beaten from the film's box office performance, DC Studios likely found comfort in the fact that there was only one more film to endure from the DCEU franchise before the company wiped the slate clean. A film that would be a sequel to the franchise's highest-grossing entry, the only one to make over $1 billion. Aquaman. But with the reboot hanging over the film's head, and a wave of superhero fatigue being felt by the general audiences at the end of an extremely packed year for the subgenre, only time would tell if the franchise would go out on a high note. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode or hated it, let us know in the comments and give us 5 stars wherever you get your podcasts. If you have any questions or comments for us that you'd like us to read during our live stream after the show ends in a couple of weeks, please send them to @FrankBroadcasts on Instagram, or leave a comment on wherever you're listening to us from. See you next episode. Bye. Welcome back to the DCPU, the DC Paramount Universe.